Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well informed. Now, before we unpack today's fascinating topic, just a quick note. If you're loving the kind of insights you get here, you absolutely have to visit Mind Expansion Daily. Seriously, it's where we find so much of the great information we deep dive into. So go check them out. And while you're at it, please like and subscribe to Mind Expansion Daily, to keep these conversations going. And hey, if this information truly enriches your day, maybe consider buying us a coffee. The link is right there in the description. Your support really helps us keep bringing you these deep dives. Now, for today's topic, we want to hear from you. As we get through this, challenge yourself. Do you agree or disagree with our summary of this critical topic? Leave a comment below and tell us. And we're trying to reach listeners all over the world, so please let us know where you're tuning in from. Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a challenge, quietly reshaping a country known for its, vibrant culture and sun-drenched coastlines, Spain's brain drain. As of August 15th, 2025, this isn't some distant problem. It's intensifying.
We're seeing young professionals leaving in, frankly, droves. We'll explore the causes, the surprising economic and social consequences, hear a personal story, and look at potential solutions.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is that while human capital flight, this brain drain, it isn't unique to Spain, of course, but Spain's situation is particularly acute. It's a classic case of a nation investing heavily in its future talent through education, only to see that very talent end up contributing its skills, its innovation to other economies. Think about it. Spain invests a lot in education, yet its youth unemployment rate was still hovering around, 25.9% in 2024? It creates this really difficult paradox.
That's a powerful way to frame it. So,
Thanks.
okay, let's start at the beginning. For those maybe less familiar, how would you define brain drain? Exactly. And what's the immediate, tangible cost to a country like Spain when its brightest minds leave?
Well, simply put, brain drain is the emigration of highly educated or skilled individuals. They leave their home country for another. It's a loss of human capital. And for Spain, the cost is, it's profoundly tangible. The country invests a significant amount, around 5,021 per tertiary student every year, according to OECD data. So when these graduates leave, Spain loses the return on that investment completely. In concrete terms, a 2023 study estimated Spain loses about 1.2 billion annually, just because these skilled workers are contributing elsewhere. It's like planting a tree, watering it carefully, and then watching someone else pick all the fruit.
Wow. 1.2 billion a year. That's staggering. So, okay, beyond just the direct financial outflow, where else do these impacts really show up? Like in the daily lives of people in Spain, are specific public services feeling the pinch?
Oh, absolutely. The ripple effects are widespread. Take healthcare, such a vital public service, right? The emigration of doctors, nurses, other medical professionals. It's led to critical shortages within Spain's healthcare system. Spain's doctor population ratio, it's about 3.9 per 1,000 people. That lags behind countries like Germany, which is at 4.3 per 1,000. And a significant chunk of that difference, it's directly because medical staff are leaving Spain for, better opportunities, better working conditions elsewhere, which of course directly impacts the quality and the accessibility of care for everyone who stays.
Right. And I imagine the effects stretch even wider than that, touching things like the national budget, a country's ability to innovate, future economic growth.
Precisely. The economic hit isn't just about that initial education investment, like we said. When high earners think doctors, engineers, tech specialists, when they leave, they contribute less to Spain's tax base. Spain's personal income tax revenue was, 103 billion in 2024? Brain drain erodes that. It limits the funds available for public services, for infrastructure, and maybe even more critically, innovation suffers. Spain's R&D spending, research and development, it's currently around 1.4% of its GDP. That trails the EU average, which is 2.3%. And part of that is because the talent, the key people, migrate to global innovation hubs, Silicon Valley, Munich, places like that. This stifles Spain's ability to develop cutting-edge tech, to compete globally. It's essentially exporting Spain's intellectual capital, which then helps other economies grow. It really sets the stage for potentially long-term economic deceleration at home.
Okay, so beyond the numbers, the economic indicators, there must be a profound social cost to this kind of exodus, too. How is it impacting the actual fabric of Spanish society?
Oh, definitely. It creates deep social fragmentation, and it really dampens national morale, You have Young Spaniards, often highly educated, feeling disillusioned, they see limited prospects at home. A 2025 survey found that a startling 62% of 18 to 34-year-olds had actually considered emigrating. 62%. And this exodus, it also makes Spain's already tough demographic situation even worse. It contributes to an aging population crisis, especially when you factor in its low fertility rate, just 1.2 births per woman. So the loss of talent threatens both immediate economic vitality and long-term societal cohesion. It can create this sense of a future that's sort of slowly draining away.
That's a really stark picture. So let's dig into the why then. Why is this happening? Despite Spain's economic growth, 2.5% in 2024, not bad that youth unemployment rate nearly 26%. It's incredibly high compared to the EU average of like 14.8%. What exactly is going on in the labor market that's pushing these young, skilled professionals out?
It's a complex mix, really, a combination of economic, professional, and, yeah, even cultural challenges. One of the biggest drivers is definitely scarce job opportunities, particularly high-quality ones. The problem isn't just a lack of jobs overall, but often the quality of the jobs that are available. Many positions are temporary or they're low-paying. In fact, about 26% of Spanish workers are on fixed-term contracts. That's the highest percentage in the entire EU. So graduates, especially in critical STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, maths, they often face underemployment, meaning they're working in jobs way below their qualifications. And that naturally pushes them to look for better, more stable opportunities elsewhere.
Right. And even if they do find a job in their field, the salary differences you mentioned are huge. An average engineer in Spain making 2,500 euros a month compared to 4,000 in Germany. That's a massive gap.
It is. That 1,500 difference a month is substantial, and it becomes even more impactful when you add in the rising cost of living in Spain. You mentioned housing in Madrid, up 7% in 2024 alone. So young professionals find their earnings stretched really thin. It makes countries like the UK, Germany, the US look incredibly appealing, not just for the higher pay, but also for better career progression, better benefits, things that just aren't as readily available at home. It makes it, unfortunately for Spain, a pretty easy decision for many.
Yeah, I can see that. And it's not just about the paycheck today, is it? It's also about the bigger picture, the long-term career prospects. Places like Berlin, London, San Francisco, they offer these really robust ecosystems for innovation. You get access to global firms, cutting-edge research, huge professional networks. Germany's tech sector, for example, employed 1.2 million people in 2024, and 15% of them were foreign talent, including lots of Spaniards.
That's a really stark contrast to Spain. Spain has, historically anyway, had more limited investment in R&D and fewer multinational headquarters. This naturally restricts the kind of high-level, cutting-edge professional opportunities that ambitious graduates are really looking for. It makes the pull of those global innovation hubs incredibly strong. Young, bright minds want to be at the forefront of their fields, right? And often Spain just isn't offering that platform.
Then there's the more subtle thing, maybe, but still important: language and international barriers. Despite its massive tourism industry, Spain's economy seems less integrated into global markets compared to Northern Europe. And English proficiency ranks, 25th in the EU?
Which is a key point, actually, because many young Spaniards are fluent in English or other languages, and they find their multilingual skills are much better utilized in these globalized workplaces abroad. It gives them access to a much wider range of international roles, international companies that simply don't have a big presence in Spain. So it just further widens that gap between the opportunities available domestically versus internationally.
It's so easy to get lost in the statistics, the percentages. But behind every number, there's a personal story.
Okay.
Let's talk about Anna. Right, so Anna. She's a 28-year-old electrical engineer from Madrid, graduated from Complutense University, a really good school. But despite her qualifications, her passion, she spent 2 incredibly frustrating years job hunting in Spain. She kept facing rejections or getting offered these low-paying, unstable contracts, starting salaries around 1,800 euros a month. I mean, that's hardly what she'd expected after years of hard study.
Exactly. And Anna's frustration eventually led her to look abroad. She started applying to tech firms elsewhere. She landed a position in Berlin, secured a salary of 4,200 euros a month, plus benefits, proper health insurance, professional development budgets, the works. And her story, while it's personal, it really mirrors a much bigger trend. There were 870,000 Spaniards living abroad in 2024. That's up 5% just from 2020. And get this, a staggering 60% of them are under the age of 35. That's a whole generation of talent walking out the door.
Wow. So Anna's departure, it's clearly way more than just one person leaving for a better job. What does this mean for Spain on a national level, losing people like her?
It truly is a national loss. Anna, with her electrical engineering background, she could have been driving innovation in Spain's renewable energy sector. That's an area where the country actually lags, despite having huge solar potential. Her leaving represents not just the personal cost, leaving family culture behind, which is hard, but also a critical loss of talent for Spain's national growth, its future development. Every Anna that leaves means one less innovator contributing to the country's progress, one less bright mind solving local challenges, one less person strengthening the community. It adds up.
Yeah, it really does. And you mentioned this isn't uniform across the board. It hits certain regions, certain sectors much harder than others. It creates specific weak spots, doesn't it?
That's absolutely right. We see very specific impacts in key areas. Healthcare, for instance, we touched on it. But something like 8,000 doctors left Spain just between 2015 and 2023. Many went to the UK's NHS or to German hospitals, drawn by better pay, better conditions. The tech sector, which is obviously crucial for Spain's digital future, faces about a 15% shortage of skilled workers, and that's made worse by immigration to tech hubs like Amsterdam or Berlin. And geographically, regions like Catalonia and Madrid, they produce something like 40% of Spain's graduates. They also see the highest outflows, which weakens their local innovation ecosystem significantly.
And looking globally, Spain isn't totally alone in facing brain drain, right? But is their situation somehow worse or more acute compared to other countries dealing with similar issues?
Well, it's a global issue for sure. Spain's challenges definitely echo what we see in other southern European nations like Greece or Portugal. Greece saw about 450,000 people emigrate after the 2008 crisis, huge numbers. But Spain's situation does seem particularly acute, mainly because of that persistently high youth unemployment rate combined with the really significant wage gaps compared to Northern Europe. And, on the flip side, Northern European countries, with their stronger economies, more R&D investment, they're actually benefiting from this. Germany's workforce, for example, grew by 300,000 foreign professionals in 2024 alone. And many of those highly skilled people came from Spain and Italy. So they're essentially importing talent that other countries paid to educate.
Okay. So after laying all this out, the scale of the problem, the causes, the impacts, the big question is, what can Spain actually do about it? Is there hope to reverse this trend? Or is it just this inevitable tide they have to ride out?
Oh, there's absolutely hope. But addressing brain drain isn't simple. It requires a really multifaceted, comprehensive strategy. There's no single silver bullet here. It needs interconnected reforms across the board.
Right. So boosting employment in high-skill sectors. That sounds like job number one, the foundation.
Precisely. And there are initiatives like the 2023 Digital Spain Agenda. It aims to create 20,000 tech jobs by 2026. That's a start. But, the implementation of these plans often lags. The pace really needs to pick up to make a dent in those unemployment figures for graduates and to create genuine, attractive opportunities.
And competitive salaries seem non-negotiable. Trying to align wages, especially in those critical STEM fields, more closely with what people can earn just across the border in Northern Europe.
Yes. And beyond just direct wage increases, Spain could maybe look at more innovative approaches. Tax incentives for young professionals, perhaps. Italy, for instance, offers a 70% tax break for skilled workers who return. That could be a powerful model for Spain. Encourage skilled Spaniards to come back, or maybe even to stay in the first place. Make the financial trade-off less stark.
Interesting. And then there's the longer-term play, investing in innovation itself. Pumping more money into R&D to create those high-value opportunities right there at home.
It is crucial. The EU has this target, right? 3% of GDP for R&D spending. Spain's 2024 budget put aside $9.5 billion for R&D, which sounds like a lot, but more is needed to really attract global firms, foster a vibrant research environment, and create the kind of advanced opportunities that will actually retain top talent and stop the brain before it starts.
Okay, and what about programs specifically designed to lure people back, to entice them home? Didn't they have something called the Return Plan, launched back in 2019?
They did, yes. But frankly, it's had pretty limited success so far. By 2024, only about 2,500 returnees were actually recorded through that plan, which, compared to the numbers leaving, is really just a drop in the ocean. To be more effective, those programs need to be seriously enhanced. Maybe offer not just small grants, but actual tangible job guarantees. Or clearer pathways back into employment that genuinely match the skills and experience people have gained abroad. Without that certainty, it's a huge leap for someone who's already built a life and career elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It really highlights the need for, bold, integrated reforms across multiple sectors to retain and attract talent, not just for today, but really for the next few decades.
And, this raises a really important, maybe even existential question. If Spain continues to lose its most educated, its most skilled young people, what does the country actually look like? Culturally, economically, say 20 or 30 years down the line? Because this isn't just about GDP figures. If Spain keeps exporting its brightest minds, it risks a really profound cultural shift. You could see a vibrant society slowly becoming dominated by an aging demographic, with a diminished capacity to innovate. It could fundamentally reshape Spain's national identity and its place on the world stage.
Absolutely. It's a sobering thought and a challenge that, as you said, many nations are grappling with in different ways. We've taken a deep dive into Spain's struggle today, but the principles, the dynamics, they resonate globally. So what stands out to you listening to this? Do you agree or disagree with our overview of Spain's brain drain? We really want to know. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, don't forget to tell us where in the world you're listening from. Let's see how far these deep dives are reaching. Finally, if you appreciated this insight, please do consider buying us a coffee. The link's right there in the description. Your support genuinely helps us keep exploring these critical topics. We hope you gain some valuable insights today. Until next time, keep expanding your mind.